it's KEMCY here, and I am the coordinator of this writing group. And yeah, for those of you who showed up yesterday for the webinar, I did some kind of practical to show you guys what to do. So I decided, because of the fluctuating nature of the network, to do a full-fledged workshop where I examine your works one by one and then show you where you have missed out on some points, and then how you can fix that and improve your work. Now, I have done a proper tutorial prior to now where I discuss the whole writing structure, which I want to believe after going through and also watching this particular video, you should have a holistic work going forward. Now, this also applies to the new writers. If you're just joining us, welcome. And I think you are lucky because you are getting full-fledged information at once, which will help you to do a good job at once and yes, fit into the working structure. It's going to be practical, where I show you exactly what you've done and also way to improve. So I'm out of what I'm going to be showing you so that you can improve it here in these jobs, and then also improve it in the ones you are writing and the ones that you'll be writing going forward. So I have already opened the jobs one by one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So let's get started with this. So this topic is the role of commercial bank or the role of central bank in economic development in Nigeria. Now, you all know that we are working with the templates, and this is the template, more like the outline. So we have an introduction, you have the variables, an explanation or a definition, a scholastic and a dictionary definition of the variables that you are working with. Then you have the branches or the types or the components, merit and demerits, kind of a background on that variable that you are working with. And then you have the role of the variable, which is the main point, the meat of the matter. Okay, the meat of the matter in the write-up. Then you have prospects or recommendations, and then you conclude. I took the time to explain all of this in the brief which I sent to you, which I believe you guys already have this brief. Yeah, what you're seeing here is the follow-up of the explanation I did earlier in the orientation video, which I'll send to you guys. If you've not yet seen it yet, you'll see it so that you can be properly informed. But this is the structure, and if you have gone through the structure which I sent to you on WhatsApp, you should be able to come up with a work, and I think Femi has done a good job here. So this is the introduction, which I believe you've done well. You don't have any issue with your introduction, and you have defined what economic development is, which is okay. Oh yeah, you've defined what the economic development is, but you have not defined central bank. You see, when you have a topic like the role of central bank in economic development of Nigeria, of course, this is Central Bank of Nigeria we are talking about, so you should define central bank or say something about it. So, like you've said, what is economic development? I expected you to also come in here and say something, even if you don't say what is economic or what is central bank. You could have just said central bank, or the Central Bank of Nigeria. Even if you want to put it like this, what is Central Bank of Nigeria, because there are people who don't know what the Central Bank of Nigeria is. If someone is watching this from maybe China, or from, sorry, if someone is reading this article maybe from China or from Kenya, he doesn't know about Central Bank of Nigeria like you do, because you're in Nigeria and you know this, and you know the Central Bank of Nigeria does not mean that everyone else knows what the central bank is. So you should have also defined the central bank here, just like you did here conceptually, but I've defined it before you now come here, and then you come here and say Central Bank of Nigeria. Under this, make it deep. Central Bank of Nigeria, or Central Bank and Economic Development of Nigeria. That is where you will now put in this. Okay, so this section that you talk about, I think this is, yeah, Central Bank Economic Development in Nigeria. Oh, you are still talking about the economic development in Nigeria. Oh, so which means this should be here when you now talk about the central bank side of the matter, and then you link the definition of central bank that you've done here to economic development of Nigeria and explain it here in this place here. This way you would have not, done the explanation. Okay? Do you understand what I'm saying? That is exactly what you have done. Now, the historical background of central bank in Nigeria. Well, this is where you would have carried this definition of the Central Bank of Nigeria, this historical background, and then you would have captured it here. Okay, because this would have explained that. And then this historical background is really not all that necessary. What you would have done is, instead of, because I said historical background of Central Bank of Nigeria, it does not mean that you should always write historical background of you don't always have to put the word historical background. You understand? I just created this word historical background so that you can have some subheadings to put under here. You understand? Not that you must always go ahead and be writing this word historical background or blah blah blah, whatever that you're writing. It's not necessary. Once you have captured the conceptual definition and a bit of explanation of what you are talking about, that's okay. If you want to go into the historical background, which I really don't see, because once you have linked the like in this case, the central bank, the definition of the central bank and its role with the economic development, then you should have something here under this place that should capture the combination of the Central Bank of Nigeria and economic development of Nigeria. In this place, what you would do is, under this, you should have done something like let's say forms of, or maybe let's say under this place that is talking about what is central bank, you could have captured in the central bank like the address. Okay, you could have also captured the management team. You could have captured how to contact, like the contacts, this information of the central bank. You could have captured something like maybe yeah, just if you want to know about this, you can just go online, just copy this, go on Google and just type in Central Bank of Nigeria. Then you see all these things here. Take things like the contact us, Then you can take things, if you just click on or just scroll down. Okay, for instance, look at this, the headquarters, stuff like that. You can scroll all the way down. You will see information about it. Most times you find it in Wikipedia, or as you scroll down, you can see this. But when this is not necessary, you can just leave it. But as you scroll down, you can see write-ups on this, and if there is a need to put in more subheadings, you can put it in. But if you go to Central Bank of Nigeria website by just clicking on this place that says more results from cbn.gov.ng, it will take you to a database that talks more about the several subheadings that you can write on. Okay, so if you find anything here interesting, you can just write under them. If you don't find, you can leave it. But basically, you should capture, the thing that you should capture is, you should capture, where is it? You should capture, where is this? Well, see the one, okay. You should capture the address, management team, where you talk about, not necessarily the people, that you just talk about the department, okay? Management or slash department in the CBN, then how to contact, and that's okay. Then you also define economic development. Where is it? Yeah, under economic development, you just talk about forms of economic development. Okay, advantages of economic development, challenges facing economic development. Okay, I think that is it. If there is a negative aspect, then you can talk about maybe the merit of economic development. You see, this would come under this, under this subheading. You capture all this briefly. All these things are just to be, you can just mention them and list them briefly, whereas this one will just capture under the concept of Central Bank of Nigeria. You understand? Then you could just come here and then talk about the the role, or kind of just marry the concept of the Central Bank of Nigeria with the concept of economic development of Nigeria and write it here. So the essence of putting this historical background is what this point here, and that is why I am doing this video. You understand? Why I'm doing this video, so that I can explain these things to you. This historical background is actually where you marry the concept of the central bank and the concept of economic development of Nigeria. This is because, like I am doing an example. So in essence, when you have defined context, conceptually, when you have conceptually means concept. I believe you have gone to school, you are a student or you are a graduate. You used to do term paper and book review, seminars and all of that in school. So this is not a new thing. So conceptual means the concept of this, which for instance is the concept of economic development. Then this concept of economic development will always have small brothers and sisters, like these forms of economic development: advantages, challenges, and then demerits, if there is any demerit. Now in the context of an institution, like a body like the CBN here, you have to talk about the address. Where is this CBN located? What are the departments inside the CBN? How do you reach the CBN? How do you contact the CBN? This applies to all organizations that you are going to be talking about. Some organizations you can find more things to write on. For instance, for economic development, you can just copy this word, economic development. Go on Google, paste it there, And you can see what I just talked about. What are the types of economic development? Is it not what I said here? Types or forms is the same thing. Forms slash types of economic development. There is no way that you talk about a concept like this that you will not always have types and forms. Okay? There's no way. So, like you have seen there, scroll down, you see types. What are the three economic? You don't have to do this, not necessary, unless you just want to do it. Okay, this talks about stages, so you can even you can even introduce these stages of economic development. You see, I talked about factors, abi, factors affecting economic development or challenges facing economic development. You see, this is factors of economic development. What do? You just open this article here and go there and pick that information. See here, problems of economic development, which is what I captured here under challenges. It's the same thing. I mean, all these things are there on Google. I don't even need to. I know from experience that there will always be things like forms or types, advantages, challenges, factors, you know, factors affecting the concept. I know for sure is going to be. So you write all these short. I mean, you write all these other subheadings, short, brief under each of them. The same thing with this other variable. Then you join them together, whatever you've captured in all of this. Join them together in this section. You title this section this, like, Central Bank of Nigeria, and economic development of Nigeria. Then you summarize everything that you've done here, and then link the Central Bank of Nigeria and its role in economic development and explain it here. After which, this one is, you see, you don't have to bring in flaws. You understand? We are focusing on Central Bank of Nigeria, not other banks. So all these things that you're writing here, types of banks that play important role in the economic development of Nigeria, is not necessary. We are not just looking at any type of bank. We are looking at only Central Bank. So when you go and add this one, this is just 184 page. What? When you add in all these things here to make this thing plenty, I don't need them. I will just delete them. I'm a very meticulous person when I'm checking things. If I see that you are just adding things because you want to be plenty, I will just delete them. So all that effort is gone. So just focus on what I am showing you. Focus on what I am showing you and do exactly that. So when you have done this conceptual background, and you are through with that, then you go to the main meat of the matter. Okay, the role of Central Bank in the economic development in Nigeria. This is where you now talk about the roles, and these roles should be 10. So if I count your roles and say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, what about the rest? Because you don't really have to write too many stories. You just summarize each of the roles. Sometimes you can even create a role under a role, and get your stuff done. Okay, it should be up to 10. So, and then you conclude. So for your roles, I think the roles are okay, but some roles have not been examined, so you should examine those roles. At least make it up to 10 and send it. So this is very simple and self-explanatory. Very simple and self-explanatory. Prospect is not compulsory. You don't have to write this. This is not compulsory unless you have the need. You just feel the urge to write it. Prospect means recommendations. So if you do not want to write this, you can leave it out. If by the time you are through with writing up to this level, you are already about 1,000 words, then you really don't need to put this. Okay? And the one who designed all this, I can change and tell you to make changes. So once you have introduced your work, discuss the variables and their sub variables, this one here goes under this number 2 here. Okay, this number 3 here, it goes under this number 2. It's just a continuation of this number 2. So if you are writing for one variable, yeah, you will just talk about the sub variables, and then under this particular one. If you are talking about two variables, like in the case of the CBN, which is one variable, and economic development of Nigeria, which is another variable, you will discuss for the two of them. When you watch the orientation video, you will see how I took the time to explain that too. Then you discuss the role. So basically, you are writing under 1, 2, 3, 4 subheadings, but you just have to bring in all those sub variables under the main variables. That will help you. Now, when I pick up your work, that is what I look at. Is I'm looking at the introduction, and then I look at the main headings. Then I look at the subheadings. That is what I look at first before I even go through to read your work. If I look at your work and you've not done it according to as I have explained, then I'm not going to waste time. Let me show you. I have several people's work to check. Look, this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 people's jobs to check every day, and it's going to increase to even 10. So if I try to check your work and your work is giving me issues, if I just look at the subheadings are not in order, or your work is not well arranged, is scanty, is tattered, I won't check it. So take the time and do a good job first before you send it in. Don't rush. Just take the time. You're going to be paid for this. So there is really no need to rush. And understand something also, that there are many people who are writing, as you have seen here. And that, yes, we have the topics to give you and we have the jobs to give you. But if you do not do a good job, maybe you just last with us a few weeks, and we'll look for someone else to replace you. Because trust me, people are doing a good job. So if you don't do a good job in your own, it's you that is doing yourself.